Good evening and welcome to the East Bridgewater Public Schools School Committee meeting on April 11th, 2019. This is our reorganization meeting, and we'll reorg in a minute. If we could all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Before we begin the reorg, I had promised we have two guests here this evening, and I did promise we have, I think one's going back out on the road momentarily, and our other guest this evening is, we wanted to say congratulations as a school department to Abby McCarthy for winning the Patriots Hall of Fame essay contest. And we thought it would be great that Abby would come in to read her essay to us. If you would come up to the mic here, Abby, please.
Thank you. Would you like me to begin?
Yeah, tell us what grade you're in.
Okay, I'm in grade 11.
And the contest, it sounds from the title of it, give us the background of the contest.
It was an essay contest that I saw a link posted to on my teacher's Google Classroom, and on it, it was basically a prompt that says, Sam Bam Cunningham was obviously very famous for his role in the Patriots, but he was also really famous for integrating Southern college football in the South in the Civil Rights era. So it was basically a prompt saying how he did that and how significant it was to the integration of Southern college football overall.
What classroom was that?
It was in Lang. It wasn't an assignment, but she posts bonus assignments and links, yeah. History has shown that it takes only one moment, a second perhaps, to spawn a monumental change. Football has arguably remained the most beloved sport of America since its first NFL game on September 26 in 1920. Significantly, 2019 will be the NFL's 100th season of American football. As deeply rooted as football has been in the United States for years, racial issues regarding inequality, segregation, discrimination, and racism have entrenched America since the beginning of time. While making effective change is seldom easy, it is always worth it. The major sacrifices made by remarkable men and women of color have fiercely broken horrendous racial barriers and put shame to mass amounts of stigmas about race. These phenomenal figures and their tireless efforts have showcased the equality and fair treatment people of color deserve and have so long been deprived of. Through his courageous pushes for change, Sam Bam Cunningham became the Jackie Robinson of college football. While famous movements that occurred at professional levels are nationally known, achievements at collegiate levels are extremely underrated. At a time when integration seemed like a distant dream, Sam Cunningham became the major force driving integration into college football in the South during the Civil Rights era of the United States. Cunningham's achievements in the 1970 college football game, the Trojans versus Crimson Tide, helped to end the last reign of segregation in major college football. The USC Trojans beat the Alabama Crimson Tide 42-21. This extraordinary win was heavily due to Sam Cunningham's 135 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns. The 1970 win meant much more for African Americans than just a big win. Cunningham's relentless success and the University of Southern California's win helped spark the integration of African Americans into Southern college football. Sam Cunningham's astonishing accomplishments on that single game day forced countless others to finally recognize the true worth and ability of all African Americans as equals. His achievements did not just flourish among the collegiate athletic world. Cunningham's influential triumph stood as a symbol to the pure testament of all people of color who endlessly fought or still fight for their equality and justice. What is considered just a game by many has demonstrated its ability to change the tides of America and to be a small yet powerful start to earning the rightful respect and treatment for African Americans. Full equality and fairness for people of color has yet to be reached. Though Sam Cunningham's story stands for realization, recognition, hope, motivation, and courage for everyone. Realizing that every action makes a difference. Recognizing when justice is not being served. Hope that we too can make this world better. Motivation to be the change the society starves for. Lastly, courage for all of those questioning whether or not to step or speak up. Every moment can make all the difference, no matter how big or small. Sam Bam Cunningham will rightfully forever stand as proof. One game is all it takes. History has been made, let's all make some more.
Well done.
So Abby, I got to go to the Kiwanis dinner a couple weeks ago, and I saw your grandfather.
He told me.
And I mentioned this. I didn't realize he was a Kiwanis member, and I mentioned it that you had won this, and that your name was out on the marquee. He's so very proud of you. But he gave me a history lesson on Sam Bam Cunningham as well, and I'm sure that you had that conversation with him. So
Yeah.
So and it was before I had Dr. Williams had gotten your essay for us to read, and we had just found out about it. But your grandfather gave me a history lesson. Then I read your essay. I think it's great, and I think the greatest part that you did is you took it upon yourself. It wasn't an assignment. It wasn't something that someone asked you to do. Is you saw it, you were interested, and you went out by yourself and did this, and you won. And you didn't need to win. You probably weren't looking to win. What did you get from the Patriots?
They called me, and at first they said he was on the West Coast and that he'd want to reach out to me or meet me, but it most likely wouldn't happen. But they sent me tickets to the Hall of Fame at Patriots Place, and they sent me a yearbook and a signed Dante Hightower picture. And then recently, Sam Cunningham just sent to the school a package for me, and it was a picture of him that he signed and wrote out to me, and a letter from him. So it was really cool.
That's nice.
Awesome.
Personal.
That's great.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Did you bring it in? Did you show the class or?
Well, I had picked it up in the office.
Oh. Well, if you can bring it in, we'd love to see it. We'll take a picture of it and put it in my office. I think that's great.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
And your mom teaches for us here at the Central School.
Yes.
I did share her all that stuff with my first grade class, and they saw it.
Oh, you did?
There you go.
Did you go and read?
Probably didn't understand much of it.
Thank you for reading that to us tonight.
Thank you.
Great essay.
So well done.
Thank you.
Goodness.
Thank you.
Thank you, Abby. That was great.
very much.
Great. Officer Connors? So Officer Connors wanted to come tonight to share.
Yep,
wanna talk about
we know that the police department has been with us many times to just talk about all the outreach that they're doing within the community. So they've just recently started an outreach for domestic violence victims, which as Chief Allen has shared with us many times, we're finding that more often their calls are related to domestic violence as opposed to law. So it's great because certainly the work and the efforts that they do, how the adults in the community is also going on. Just going to share a little bit of information about their outreach.
Thank you. So about 2 months ago, the police department had started a domestic violence outreach. We have 4 officers who are participating. Sergeant McLaughlin oversees it, Officer Eldridge, myself, Officer Cacciatore, and Dispatcher Alicia Cutter. One of our highest volumes of calls is related to some type of domestic violence, and we didn't really have anything in place to help them after we go to a call, other than the services that we have outside. So we decided to start this unit to assist with that. What the unit does is within 3 to 5 days, we usually wait at least 3, but somewhere in the 3 to 5 day window, we give our victim a call after we go to a domestic violence incident. We wait that amount of time because it is a traumatic event for everyone, and we like to let things kind of settle and let everyone calm down. Sometimes we make an arrest at those domestic calls, so that can be very upsetting if we were to call, just moments later after, we made an arrest. So we give it a little time to settle down, and we make a call. At the scene, they're provided with a packet which contains all sorts of information, along with domestic violence organizations to help them. We have sexual assault information in there, mental health information, as well as substance abuse information in there too. Usually it's somewhat connected, so we make sure that they have everything that they need. What the unit does is we give them a call, and we just reach out to them and offer an ear. We ask if they have any questions, if there's anything that we can assist them with, if they need to go over some of the information that they received, we help them with that, and basically just give them an ear and let them know that if they need something, they can reach out. So,
And would you say more often than not when you're going to these calls that there are children in the home?
yes, a lot of times there are. So it definitely is going to be a big help to the town.
And when did this start?
Approximately 2 months ago.
Have people been availing themselves of these resources? Do you know? I mean,
So we can't force anyone to
Oh, no, of course, I'm
take
just
the
curious to-
resources. So our call is basically just to, we kind of, the first thing I ask them is, I'm just touching base with you on the incident that occurred. If there's anything that you need, is there anything I can help you with? Do you have any questions? And a lot of times they just kind of want to talk, and
Yeah.
they might just have some questions about the legal process or things like that. So we do just kind of listen, and if there is anything that they need, we will help them with that. If they need us to explain information, we'll help with that.
no, it's a great way to prompt people to act positively.
Yes, yeah,
Show them the next step.
exactly. That's what we're trying to do.
Officer Cunningham, I'm sure that it doesn't matter if it's male or female in the domestic violence. It can
Correct.
happen to anyone,
Yep, it's both.
regardless of age.
And if
There's no
we-
bias in
Yep.
domestic violence.
We've
correct?
made calls to males as well as females. We've made approximately in the last 2 months, 20 calls, I'd say. And some are male, some are female. So it is, it's not biased.
Right, there's no bias here.
Right.
And for the children that are in the home, we do have the kid in need. So on a domestic call, so everybody knows, we would see that there was a child in the house, in the home, and we would get a kid in need. And we would pick that up here, and one of our counselors would speak to them the next morning just to make sure that they're doing okay. Because we want them in school. It's better for them to be here than to be
Right.
anyplace else.
Exactly.
Is the kid need, is that similar to the handle with care that the DA's office trains officers in?
Very similar,
Okay,
yes.
all right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Talitha.
Good job.
Yeah. Ready? Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
I guess they don't want to stay for the.
Have a good night. Thank you.
Any public comments? Any public comments? Diane, really? Public comment? Do you have anything to say?
Oh, I just think it's wonderful, and I'd like to welcome the new members, and I got to meet Bob,
Yep.
right?
Rob.
And I just wanted to tell him that when I've been watching it, he has a lot of good questions, and he's very interested in what he does, because I love Gina. Gina,
My name is Ferris.
I guess.
about you today.
Yep. Hey, what did I say?
Someone had to hold down the fort here.
I was down at the senior center today, down at the Council of Aging, and I go down there. Gina and I always go together. Unfortunately, somebody did have to hold the fort today, and I went down and we had coffee and cookies with a few members of the senior group, and we talked about our budget. And they're very interested in the schools. They ask great questions. Actually, Russ was there today, and he videotaped it. So you'll be able to see it on your Access channel. So,
She's always a joy to have around.
no, but you're so beautiful. I'm just a joy. Okay. So thank you for letting them go, because I know that Officer Connor had to get back out, and the McCarthys had asked if they could go first. So the first order of business this evening is the annual organization of the school committee as required by policy. Action should be taken on the following. Is there a motion on the floor for a chair?
I move to nominate, what's her name? Ellen Cunningham.
First by Gordon, second by Rob Ruda. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye. The ceremonial passing of the gavel.
Yeah.
At this time, I would motion to appoint the vice chair, and I would nominate, not appoint, I mean, I would nominate Gordon for vice chair.
Second.
Second by Teresa. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And I would motion to nominate Rob Ruda as secretary.
Second.
Second by Teresa. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
And we have to nominate, it's usually superintendent as the treasurer.
So moved.
Moved by Teresa, second by Rob. All in favor?
Aye.
And so we appoint Joanne Benner as the school committee clerk.
We have to wait till she's here. That doesn't matter.
Doesn't
She's an
matter.
abstention.
We can still appoint her.
Yeah.
So moved.
Moved by Teresa.
Second.
Second by Gordon. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And appointment to standing committees. So the legislative liaison, I find myself talking to our legislatures, and since seeing as how I already do that, I would just put myself there. It used to be John Babcock, but I would just put myself there because I already talked to them. And the standing committee to update policy, I would put myself and Gordon and Trista. School committee representative to Reed's Collaborative and PCC would be the superintendent. School committee representative to North River Board of Directors is the superintendent. School committee representative to Town Insurance Committee, I would leave as,
Yeah, we don't do anything.
no.
Just leave it there. I've never done anything.
I think you'd be good at it, though. And grievance hearing officer, I would leave myself as the chair. I have not ever had to grieve anything, though. Bargaining subcommittee for certified professional contract, that's,
We're in that now.
I would leave myself because we're already in the process of doing that, and Ms. Gordon McKinnon. And
Is one of you attending negotiation?
we are. One of us usually does. However, this past one, I did not go because I had a prior engagement and Gordon was traveling. But usually one of us goes, yes. Bargaining subcommittee for assistant principal's contract. I don't believe they're up this year, but we still have to appoint people, so I would put Rob, Ruda, and Trista. And then bargaining subcommittee for non-certified contract, I would put Gordon and Tim. I don't think that's up to this year either. So they're just placeholders. The budget subcommittee, myself, Teresa Maltz, and Rob Ruda. Teresa, you're okay with staying on that, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. Voting delegate to annual conference of MASC, MASS, I would appoint Mr. McKinnon because he's very,
He's so good at it.
he's very reliable. He always goes. So we don't,
You've seen the video or something?
if we need to,
We've seen your reports, Gordon.
Okay.
we don't,
Very detailed.
we don't turn in the delegate information to the MASC until sometime in the summer. So, or sometime later in the year. So I mean, it's okay. We can put him there, and if we have to change it later, we will, or we can. Thanks, Gordon.
Welcome.
Subcommittee to update the educational philosophy of the district. I would put Teresa Maltz, Gordon McKinnon, and Tim, since I believe you have expertise in that.
We need serious help, too.
I think he'll be great at it, though. It's very old. It needs like an overhaul. Subcommittee for superintendent evaluation process. Myself, Gordon McKinnon, and Rob Ruda. School committee representative to capital needs planning committee, Tim. Standing committee for school committee goals, Teresa Maltz, Ellen Pennington, and Trista Higgins.
So the capital needs is going from Rob to Tim?
Yes.
Okay. And I'm sorry, I didn't get the,
Hopefully, as long as I would ask for your approval. Now that I read through all of those, I would ask to make a motion to accept the appointments of these standing/subcommittees.
I didn't get the school committee goals. I'm sorry. Who's on that?
Teresa, myself, and Trista.
Great.
Anybody have any objections before I move? Anybody? Motion to accept?
Second?
Motion by Teresa, second by, who was it, Ty? Who wants a second? Rob? All in favor?
Aye.
Adoption of the school committee policy. So Trista and Rob may or may not know this, and I'll just refresh everybody. So we voted on our policy manual last year. We overhauled the whole entire manual, and then in the fall, at some point, there were some policies that were new, and then some that were revised. So I just ask, there's nothing new right now that needs to be updated or revised, or added or whatever. So I would just ask that we make a motion to adopt our current school committee policies manual.
So moved?
Moved by Gordon, second by Tim. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. And I would take a motion to adopt the East Bridgewater School Community Mission Statement.
I didn't see it enclosed. This is the one that
Right
we
behind.
worked on?
No.
Different one.
No, it's the current one. It's two-page, it's the one behind.
Sorry, I put it back here. Okay. And so the...
I can just read it.
Well, but the work, I was not at the last
Because
meeting, obviously.
we have to add to it, because we only did a piece of what we were supposed to do, unbeknownst
So
to
this mission
you and
statement
I.
is separate from the educational philosophy.
Right.
So the
Okay.
mission statement is the current statement that we've had all along. And then the educational philosophy is like a one-page thing. that
Right, we only did a piece of it, Gordon, apparently, not knowing we were doing the whole sheet.
Okay.
So I'll reach out to you guys and get something scheduled, and we'll get that wrapped up.
And so is the mission statement standing, or are we working on that as well, to revise
No.
that as well?
No.
No
It's not-
which?
It's not up to be revised.
Okay.
Unless you want, somebody can make a motion.
Well, we can certainly talk about it when we meet, and if we come up with something that ties closer to what we're doing, but I guess we have to do B before we can look at whether A needs
I'm
to
happy
be
with
revised to
them.
fit with B.
I'm happy with our mission statement, though. I think it sums it up.
Well, I think there definitely should be some sort of symmetry between the educational philosophy and the mission statement.
Right, so until we finish B, I guess we'll leave A.
Until you have.
Right, until we do B, we need to wait for A.
Okay.
So would you like to table the mission statement and table the educational philosophy?
So moved.
I would,
Is this the current mission statement, or is this?
Yes.
This is the current, yeah, we haven't done anything.
So all we'd be doing is just accepting the standing.
Right, as it is.
That's right.
Do we do them separately, Ellen? I didn't
Yes,
even look, I'm
you do
sorry.
do them separately.
Oh, so moved.
So to accept the.
To accept, I'm sorry.
Okay. So moved by Teresa to accept the current mission statement. Second by Tim. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. And the adoption of the educational philosophy of the East Bridgewater Public School System will be tabled, passed over, and the subcommittee will work on revising it.
I'll reach out to you guys through email.
And I don't believe we have anyone here for public comment, and the superintendent already asked, so I'm going to skip past that. And we do not have a student here from the Student Advisory Council, so I'll skip past that. And next up, we have Superintendent's Corner.
Couple things. I have the flights. We have students going away. We have the Paris trip. We have 15 adults and 62 students going on Air France, leaving on Saturday. They go Saturday to Saturday. Boston to Paris, Paris to Boston. Then we have the other trip going to Yosemite, California. We have 6 adults and 43 students, but I have this for you, just so you know when their flights are going. I can pass this around. These have, just so you can see the students' names and the adults that are traveling with them. We did not make copies because they have students' names on them. I just asked you to look it over and then pass it back to me. Chaperones' names are on here, and so are the students' names. Appointment of spring coaches: Michelle Frew, assistant girls lacrosse coach; Jenna Cullivan, assistant softball coach; Evan Dean, assistant baseball coach; Joseph Donahue, assistant boys lacrosse coach; Paul Doucette, assistant baseball coach; Ryan Eaton, head girls track and field coach; Nicole Eisman, head softball coach; Jeff Galoni, head baseball coach; Carrie Kiley, head girls lacrosse coach; George McCabe, head boys track and field coach; Abigail Pellegrino, assistant girls track and field coach; Travis Picolis, assistant boys track and field coach; William Silva, head boys lacrosse coach; Stephanie Walsh, tennis coach. We have some retirees from the Coaches Corner. Christine Ailes, we have retirees from this year that will be retiring from the East Bridgewater Public School Department. Christine Ailes, Gordon W. Mitchell School. Christine DiLorenzo, Central School. Joanne O'Brien, East Junior Senior High School, and Linda McStowe from Central Elementary School.
Didn't Mrs. DiLorenzo retire last year?
No, she retired. She needed 3 months, two months. November?
No,
She retired in November,
Gotcha.
didn't Mrs. McStowe?
and McStowe needed a half a year for her retirement, so she went to January 1st.
That was tough for me to say goodbye.
So, but they're still on our FY19 retirees.
Oh,
Also today, the last couple of days, we've been getting a lot from State House representatives. We did, John and I received this from the Mass Superintendents Association. John received his from the Massachusetts Business Administrators. The House and Ways Means of the FY20 Chapter 70 and Education Budget Recommendations. So I made you each a copy of this to see what they've written to us. It looks good for us. If this gets through, John was right with his estimations, or his estimates. If this goes through, and it makes it through both the House and the Senate, we will get an appropriation of $203,540 for this year. And then John, as you know, did one for next year.
Well, actually,
That's
203,000 was the governor's.
governor's budget.
The House Ways.
It was 237,886.
So it's
Yeah.
an
Sorry.
increase of about
Yeah.
30.
Because I did talk to Allison
Yep.
Saturday about that, and she thought that they would only increase. They didn't see any potential in that number going down at all.
So this isn't the Chapter 70 rewrite that they're looking at, this is just the governor's annual budget.
Well, the
part of it.
governor's
Yeah.
budget comes out first, and that increase
this
is
first.
209,000.
No, I just meant there's a bill coming up this summer
Yeah, yeah,
that-
no,
for the whole.
No, it's not the whole.
Talking about that.
Leave it.
Although, doesn't the governor's budget do some changes to the formula that,
The governor's budget takes into account changes to the formula based upon the Budget Review Commission, and that's an increase in special ed rates and also ELL rates and employee benefits.
And does either of those numbers have a per pupil number that's associated with it? It must be in that $30 range or something like that.
No, it's about 100.
Oh, really? Because that's certainly what MASC was gunning for, was the $100 per student. Right. Oh, good. Okay.
We're getting good feedback right now that there's some movement up there, that schools are making a little bit of headway, so that's good.
it has to go through the Senate, right?
They're saying that it looks good at this time for schools.
Good.
yeah, when I talked to Allison on Saturday, she was, and actually, who else did I talk to? Walter Timilty. They were both saying that they didn't see any, at least, chance that not, at least the governor's budget would hold.
Yeah.
Would they get the whole
The other one?
bump that they want? But since we've based everything off the governor's budget, at least we know that we're in, pretty good shape.
Yeah, we said the potential for the room to go up. You said Ways and
Right.
Means was 237, the governor's budget is 203.
203, so it's like a
203.
30,
Even if we landed 203.
Yeah.
still within-
right, and that's what we've projected
Yeah.
our budget on when we
Yeah.
did it for
Okay.
town, so.
And I'm sorry to interrupt you, Liz, but what do they call it? We go to the Hill on May 1st. So I don't know if everyone's aware of that.
Yeah.
Day on the Hill, right. And so it's always informational, it's always good information to go up there and sit and listen to the legislators, and have the opportunity to go talk to
Love
folks.
Day on
So
the Hill.
that's May 1. I expect to go, yes.
I'm going this year.
Joining you.
Last year it was
You'll be
before
able to
tax
go?
season, so I couldn't go,
Oh.
but this year it's after, so.
I think they're meeting
Meeting at the liaison.
What?
Yeah.
And then go over to the state house.
Robin, Tim, do you think you might go?
I'm not sure what it's called.
May 1st, I can't tell you what day of the week it is.
Probably I think it's like I don't think it's a
Sorry,
Monday.
I'm so,
wants to call my boss, maybe we can.
It's like a Tuesday or a Wednesday, I'm not sure.
yeah, it's usually not a Monday, but
Oh, right. And not a Friday.
It's a
So I have
Wednesday.
I have a couple more things. Also, the MSBA is coming out to look at our roof on the 23rd. So we're going to try to get back in the queue and keep Central School moving. We want to keep it moving. We want to get we want to stay in the queue of the MSBA if we can continue to do these projects and do them on, get them in that 5-year plan that we're talking about. And because that school needs help, that they're going to come out and take a look at it. This is good for us. This is what Capital asked us to do. They wanted us to do renovations and not just build a new school. And I don't think there is an appetite for a new school in the community. I don't blame you for 75 or 100 million. It's hard to ask for that, but the renovation projects, the MSBA is going towards that more often. I did talk to a couple of superintendents last week when we were at our meeting. Some were saying that they want the renovation projects now because there is no appetite for these. This building was 75 million. Today it would probably be 100 to 125 million or even upwards. So.
well, and there's no appetite for the overrides needed to get the town's piece of that. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, statewide, not just here.
Yeah. It's hard.
It's the need for, increased taxes to make it happen, number one, but number two, the central school is just so iconic in town. I think
Yeah.
that's real.
Well, I meant more in, like, I can see why they're going that way, because in general, the appetite just isn't there.
And in the last several weeks, we've been writing grants, something that we've been trying to do all year. Gina wrote a grant a couple of weeks ago. Not a couple of weeks, but a month and a half ago?
Yeah, probably.
Go ahead.
So, as the superintendent said, you apply for many grants and get few. So the ones
is a
that
good
we
one.
do,
You'll like this.
a lot of times the grants are dependent upon our percent of students receiving free and reduced lunch. So really, it's competitive grants that we try to go after, knowing that we don't have to have specifications in order to be approved for them. So one of the grants that came about a little over a month ago through the Department of Elementary and Secondary Ed was a grant on improving student access to behavioral and mental health services. And so I wrote the grant for $30,800, and we found out last week that we have secured that grant for next year. So when writing the grant, I was specifically looking for us to have additional supports here within the building, social workers, and that. So that will be the plan, to use the money to bring whether it be the intern program through North River Collaborative with graduate students, or securing a part-time social worker. We can use that funding to do that.
Only use that person in the high school? Or is there a thought about?
So initially, in looking at the intern program, it would be more so in this building, but certainly opportunities for there to be supports, especially at the Mitchell School, knowing that Central School has doubled their, not to say that it's enough, but has doubled their guidance support. But the primary focus would be between the school and the Mitchell School.
Does that mean we would have our three people from North River and then an additional person?
That's something that John and I are looking at now. We just need to speak to the budget subcommittee at some point. And, it is something that we're talking about now that we have this grant. It does loosen us up a little bit to look at that in another direction.
What does 30,000 cover? I mean, that's not a full-time position.
The North River has, they're getting their certificates. So they are social workers, so they'll come, so North River picks up.
So, yeah, that's
of the
the
cost.
fee for us, for
us.
North River to oversee them.
What certificate are they getting, Gina? Do you know?
I think it's adjustment.
I
Are they LISCs or LICSWs or?
Yes. Social workers.
LICSWs, yep.
So this is.
The level one, are this their first level one
So they
social
are
worker
social workers at
certificate?
this point.
Yes.
These are the hours that they need to get the DESI certification in order to.
So they can work in the schools.
work in the schools.
So it's to get the DESI certification, so they already have
Yeah.
the license?
Right, so
Okay.
there's so many hours that they have to
Yep.
do in order to be able to be eligible for certification.
Thank you
Gotcha.
for writing that grant.
Yeah, that's great news.
It's just nice every once in a while to see, yay, you got
Yeah.
it.
That's 1 year?
It is, yes.
We also writing another grant, working with the police department. We have a federal grant has come out, a state grant has come out. We're working with Chief Allen, getting a safety grant. John just finished that. We did get some help. John went up and got everybody's signatures.
We filed a safety grant for the middle school to help correct the security issues that we have there. So that grant we filed for $53,000.
Is that the vestibule type?
Yeah, vestibule.
Plans we were talking about?
Fob system,
Fob system for
Yep.
the doors.
couple cameras, panic buttons. It was a pretty extensive grant. So knock on wood, find out April 26th. whether we-
Great.
And we'll be filing another grant, another security grant, and that's a federal grant, and we'll be working with Chief Allen together on that one.
And that's a big grant,
That could be
a large amount of money.
Thank you.
The last, we had the opportunity today to go and meet the interim town administrator, Rocco Longo. He has been a former town manager in the towns of Duxbury and Marshfield. We went up to a gathering today and met Rocco. We also have met, and most of the town directors were there, and the school department was there. John, Gina, and I went up. We asked, he will be here tomorrow for our meeting. We've been meeting with the department heads to make sure that we stayed on track with our, for town meeting. We've had great conversation. Rocco will be down here tomorrow with us, along with the town accountant and the town treasurer will be here. We've also, Rob Lynch from Lynch and Malloy, the auditor, will also be here in our office talking about where we are right now for budgets, finances, and going forward to the town meeting. So,
Excuse me, Liz.
Yes.
The interim position, how long do they think that will last?
we were told that the interim will get us through town meeting, and then I believe they will be having meeting with their council, and they will bring in a company to go out and look for a town administrator for a
So
search.
it could extend beyond.
Yeah.
I know when we do a superintendent
Yep.
interim, it's a whole year. So I didn't know if that was the plan, be a year.
They didn't specifically say, they just said they were, I believe they're hiring a consulting firm
Good.
to go out and look for a town administrator.
Yeah, it didn't sound like they wanted it to last a year.
No.
Yeah, and just in looking, I just kind of, because I went and researched them, I guess I don't know if I want to admit that as a little LinkedIn stalker, but like he's semi-retired and he's kind of doing these short stints now to get people through, so
Yep.
my impression was, I didn't see him doing any of his interim stuff more than 6 months that he's done.
I would think that whatever the search committee needs time.
Yeah, I think it's all about what's out there, really, probably more than anything.
Okay.
But just wanted to let you know what was happening here.
Friday is.
Friday at 10.
Can I ask you one question? You may or may not have any more information. The alleged attempted abduction that happened a couple weeks ago, did we find out anything more about that?
Nope, the police were on it immediately. The story was corroborated by a film from someone's home, or a camera on someone's porch. The vehicle that the student had said that he thought that the man had gotten into, the video did show the vehicle. Unfortunately, there was no license plate or anything, and the patrol cars did go out and they did search. They've been out, you know, as much as they can be, and there was no. But there has been follow-up, yes, but nothing.
My question was more,
Yeah, I get it.
question was more driven was, did it end up being at all cooperated?
Oh, yeah.
Because there's so many parents driving the kids in the morning now that if it didn't turn out that way, I wanted to, because the traffic is brutal now in the morning.
Right, and again, you know, during those terrible rainstorms, snowstorms, when it's really very cold out, in a situation like this, Lucini Bus Lines has been extremely good to us, and they will pick up kids if it's, you know, torrential downpours, or if it's really, really cold, or the snow, or, and in this case, if we needed to pick some kids up at that area, because we thought that there was a problem down there.
No, I was just curious if you could, you know, loosen the alarms of the traffic in the morning. That was honestly my reason for asking more than anything, because it's just been like worse than I've ever seen in my 6 years in town. So more parents are definitely driving, and I don't blame them. I'm doing it myself. So
we also have kids though that you know, turn the age. They got their permits in the fall, and now they have their driver's license. And now we have our lots are full. They were not full before January. Now they're full. So.
Next up, we have Dr. Williams, Strategic Plan Number 3, Professional Development. Dr. Nichols is not with us.
Great. I excused Mrs. Nichols for this evening just because I felt like with our two new members, I would just give an overview. Sorry to be repetitive for the rest of the committee, but to just share sort of what we've accomplished at this point this year, sort of the direction we're going with towards the end of this year, and as we move forward to next year. Mrs. Nichols will be back, I believe in June, we're back on for professional development. So the spreadsheet I gave you, and I apologize for the size, I was trying to get everything onto one sheet, but this is the Professional Development Academy, which is made up of about 17 of us. We meet once a month, and it's made up of representatives from all three of the school buildings, teachers, assistant principals, reading specialists, guidance. But our role is to each month review requests that teachers make to attend professional development. So in the top left corner, you see the total amount for the Title IIA grant, which is a professional development grant. We spend that down over the course of the year. And as you can see, we've got, well, or maybe not, seeing it's so small, we have about $1,800 left. So it really doesn't mean that we only have $1,800 worth of money to send people from now until the rest of the year, because a lot of these trainings, or some of these trainings, haven't happened yet. Teachers make a request through a platform that we have called Smart PD. Those requests go to building principals to approve, and then they come to the PD Academy. And you know, one of the great things of having the PD Academy is we can tailor what we're approving based on the goals and objectives that the school department has within our improvement plans and within our strategic plan. And inclusive practices has been a really big push with our training in universal design for learning. But then there's always high quality PD opportunities that we want teachers, especially within content areas, to take advantage of. And then we always have to account for substitutes, because every time we send teachers to training, that is a cost as well. So every month we meet, we talk about, we also have a second spreadsheet that has the teachers' names or the staff members' names, so that we're being mindful of how many certain people are going to, and we're spreading the wealth. So that's sort of where we're at for the year with the funding, and we'll continue to meet on that. But then a few other things that the Professional Development Academy has really branched out, and I give full credit to the Academy. They do a great job with brainstorming new ideas. We really want to improve upon our parent trainings and opportunities for parents to take advantage of trainings. So this year, under the direction of Mrs. Clifford, our guidance director, we've had workshops under social emotional for parents to attend on almost a bi-monthly basis. The other night we did the vaping, the new look of addiction for parents. We'll be doing one on gun safety coming up for parents, especially parents of young children, if there's a gun in the home, or they could be at a play date with a gun in the home. We'll be doing that in partnership with the East Bridgewater Police Department and the local gun club. Thank you. That's a mom's group that one of our staff members belongs to, so they'll be coming in to do that training as well. So we really want to continue with those trainings. We did book clubs this year with staff. We're going to continue with book clubs, just thinking of other ways that we can offer professional development not only to our staff but to our parents as well. We're also looking and in the works of creating East Bridgewater University, and the reason why we're calling it a university is because it will allow teachers to earn graduate or the equivalence of graduate credits. They cannot move on the salary scale through professional development points, which we typically offer, but through EB University, they could earn credit that would then allow them to accumulate to movement on the salary scale. There'll be parameters on that they would have to have a limit of how many they can earn that could be applicable to the movement on the salary scale. But there'd be courses that would be developed by our staff members. They would be district-owned courses, so that if they chose not to run them, we could offer them for somebody else to run. And primarily, they'd be taken over the summer, but they could be taken during the school year, after school, or online even. Mrs. Fisher can train teachers to create courses online.
It's an actual course, not just a one-day, like, year.
Right. It would be multiple, hours in order for them to accumulate, most of them being 15 hours or more that the courses would be.
When staff attend these conferences, these one-day conferences, when they come back, is there a requirement or expectation that they provide some sort of, group sharing as it's applicable to, amongst their other peers?
Yes. So that was when we formed the Professional Development Academy, that is one of the caveats, that the expectation, because what we found was happening in the past where we had multiple people attending the same conference, or we had lots of splintering in the conferences that people were attending. So that is one of the expectations, that they would come back. Sometimes it's just sharing amongst their department. Sometimes it's with their whole school. Sometimes we'll send one representative from each building if it's something that carries the gamut of K to 12. But there's always that expectation that there's a responsibility for them to come back and share or offer a product that could be used for the rest of the staff.
And hasn't that resulted in a lot of courses, for lack of a better term, on the full-day PD days too?
Yeah, so especially our tech day. Our tech day is the full day, and I think this year we had 32 offerings. And it was teachers, staff members that attended MassQ, and that was, then they would come back and they would write an hour and a half workshop that they would then put on for the rest of the staff.
Okay, Gina, parent question. Do we have any more PD days this year?
We do have one more coming up. It's the Friday before Memorial Day weekend.
Okay. I know it's usually before a holiday, that's why I wasn't sure.
Yeah, it's a half day. That training will be on Universal Design for Learning. I have shared, I think, in past meetings, we have a team from each of the buildings, 8 member teams for each of the 3 buildings that we've been receiving training over the course of the year in inclusive practices, specifically around Universal Design for Learning. So that day, the training will be Universal Design for Learning. Yes. The couple other things that the PD Academy is working on is, and Mrs. Pennington actually had heard about it as well, maybe you have blizzard bags. Districts are moving towards creating ways for students to get credit for a day that is usually would be a snow day. And these would be packets or activities that students would engage in during the snow day that would actually allow us to count the day. Now, once we have a proposal ready, it would come to you. And as a school committee, you would vote to determine whether we could use those as actual days. And I'll be prepared to share with you what other districts have typically done. Sometimes they don't count the very first day as a blizzard bag day. However, if we find that we have multiple days accumulating,
like last
then
year.
we may fail. Yes. So for the upper grades, it would mostly be the ability to access the activities online, but they'll be in hard copy, and we will give them a window of time to complete them, because certainly if we lose power, it's very hard for them to complete
I was just going to say, how's that work?
So there would be a window of time when the activities could be completed. but we'll be prepared to share you what kind of credit they're worth. If it's not done, what would the ramifications be? Most likely it would be that they wouldn't get credit for attendance on that day of school. It would be considered an absence if the activities are not done. But we'll be there. We'll be back probably fall. I'll wait until probably September to come to you with that, but we'll have.
And do we need any sort of permission from DESI or anybody to
We
accomplish
don't.
that?
So DESI just requires that the school committee give approval. They don't give approval on the state level.
You can count one day? I mean, is there a limit on how many days?
They did not even put a limit
No
on
permanent
it.
limit.
Theoretically, if a district wanted to get really cute with it, you could,
Use it for
Yeah.
every day. So there was a district in the South Shore that had school planned for a day of an election, and a school building was being used, and last minute they had to cancel because they couldn't have the building open with the community gaining access. So they actually, although I don't know if they called it blizzard bag because it wasn't a blizzard, but they utilized one of those days for that purpose. So that, and like I said,
5 years on the road, we may not even be talking about snow days at the end of the year anymore. This may be a new.
Well, one time we had to cancel school from a hurricane.
Right.
Yeah, that was just 2 years ago, wasn't it?
It was recent, within the last 3 years.
5 or 6 years ago.
So we'll be sharing that with you, as well as another idea that we're working through is late start at the junior senior high school for the purposes of professional development for the staff. However, it would still be an opportunity for students to still come to school. So there'd be activities for anyone that has students at the Mitchell School. Students refer to them as PLC days. And I asked my 6th grader if he even knows what PLC means, and he said no. He just knows that he has extra specials.
Right, yeah.
So there would be activities designed here within the building for students. Buses would still operate at the same time. It would be that first block of the day that teachers would be engaged in professional development at this level, specifically around the NEASC. They have a lot of work that they need to do, and they need the time in order to do that. And you know, for students in junior, senior high, as a couple of my students are, they would love to be able to sleep in. It's really not a benefit for them to have a half day with, you know, after school activities, sports, drama band. They're here in the building anyways. So we're working on a proposal for that. We're hoping to do a pilot one day this year before the school year ends, but then we'd be coming to you with a proposal for sessions throughout the year that we'd be offering.
And we could potentially update our calendar that we have for next year.
Yeah, we would need to definitely to let the parents know what those days are, but we need to stress to them that the building is still going to open at the same time. Students can still be dropped off. Buses will still operate. However, students will have the option whether they want to come in at the beginning of the day or whether they want to come in for a second block.
And then if they come in late, there won't be a bus for that they would have to get a ride from the parents.
Right, so if parents are allowing them to come in for a second block, they would need transportation.
In that first block, they would have some kind of a assignment.
Activity.
To make up the.
There'd be an activity going on.
Right, either, well, I mean, if they were here, but if they chose to come in late, they would still have some kind of activity for credit, no?
No, so we still meet the 990,
Oh, okay.
90 hours of instruction even without that time.
I gotcha.
So it would be more opportunities for them to take advantage of the breakfast program, get homework done.
Oh,
but we would
that's
have
a good
activities.
thought. Would the breakfast would be extended for that period?
Yes, yeah, it would go that whole block. So they could
block is
have some breakfast, get some homework done.
5 minutes or whatever.
Right, but like I said, we'll be back to you with our blizzard bag proposal, our late start proposal, as well as and the last piece that I just want to share is at the end of the year, as I shared with you, our curriculum review cycle is health and wellness. So we'll have our action plan at the end of this year to share with you physical health, mental health. So I've got school nurses involved, guidance counselors involved, PE teachers involved, health teachers involved, our food service director. So although we thought this was kind of a reprieve this year because it's not a content area, it's really proven to be even bigger in
It could be one of like the most important changes we make, really.
Yeah, and it does tie in.
In terms of impact, you know what I mean?
As I shared with you, the frameworks for PE and health will only be in draft form by the end of this year, so those will be tentative, but certainly the social emotional programs and trainings that we'll have in place, those will be ready to be reviewed, as well as our community partnerships that we're going to be accessing. And certainly Mrs. Vaughn will be ready with all of her wellness action plans. So we do have a health and wellness steering committee So once I have a draft of an action plan to share with you, we'll pull the steering committee back together to finalize that plan, and it will be put in place for the start of next school year.
Gina, do we do any PD for our school nurses?
We do, and it's great that we have the ability to access Mass General Hospital, and they provide a lot of free professional development for our nurses. Also, Boston Children's Hospital has a lot of offerings for us as well that our nurses have taken advantage of, as well as Boston University Shields has offered. So Mrs. Berenger, our lead nurse, has been really good about scoping out all those opportunities that the major hospitals have been providing for us. So they're taking advantage of those. All of our nurses have professional development responsibilities that they need to keep up their license, but this, the expert training, there's so many different things that are coming on board, those mandates that we're required to do, that they're able to access those trainings for.
Don't get me going,
I
Liz.
know. We're working on that list too.
Was that thing that you just sent an email about the, or maybe Mr. Duffy did, I don't know, whoever sent it, about the spirit or the spread of, you know, the basically drug and...
The SPART?
Yeah, that's it,
Yeah,
SPART.
so-
Is that new this year?
No, last year was the first year, and it's a survey done with all 7th and 9th graders. And it's a screening for, let's see,
And I can't remember too,
yeah,
but it was...
it's referral for treatment. So it's basically risky behaviors, intervention, referral to treatment.
That's it, yep.
So our nurses have been trained and our guidance counselors have been trained. It's a small survey that's given, it is anonymous, and the way we've set it up actually is 7th grade social studies teachers conduct their class in the library that day, and students just take turns going across the hall for the survey. If, obviously, given the answers that students might provide, then that's when they would provide supports for intervention, or they'd at least request whether they want them. Parents are notified of it. Parents can opt out of it. However, students can have the right to opt themselves back in to it. So it is an initiative through the state. Certainly, it's for us to access early warning signs and obviously refer students to treatment if needed. It's also,
I found it interesting because at least psychiatric providers now are required to do the exact same thing. So I was like, oh, I wonder if I should opt out because we've already done that this year. And I didn't really care, but I found it interesting. That's why I asked if it was new this year, because
and it's sort
it
of
was
twofold.
new to me in a doctor's office.
Right. It's also to start building relationships with students as well, so that if they feel that they need to reach out to someone, they'll have created a bond with the person that's meeting with them.
And is it the nurses doing it, or is
Nurses and guidance
guidance
counselors.
can do it as well?
Yep.
Question. I noticed on the PD offerings that there's 4 or 5 people that are doing the SEI endorsement.
Yes.
So is that for them to get reimbursed to go take the course, or do you bring someone in here to teach it?
So it is for them to go out to other agencies for them to receive it. We have one of the agreements with the last negotiations, we no longer reimburse them for courses.
Right.
However, we said anything that's tied to recertification, we would help to support them. So we have put a cap on that, that no more than 8 people a year. We have very few that are left to
That's what I was
be
gonna
done.
follow up was, where are we
Because
with-
all new teachers coming out, they're getting it in college. We have staff members who, don't have students in their classes because we have a relatively small number. But we have committed to those that do need it for recertification, that the district has funded it.
Is that the special education inclusion?
That's the sheltered English immersion. So if you have a student who's an English language learner in your class, within 1 year of having them in your class, and the state knows you have them in the class because it's in the state reporting, you have to have the endorsement, or else you won't be able to recertify for your license. Another one of those.
Unfunded mandates. I'll talk about them all night if you want. You know that.
So that's all I have. If anyone has any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Before we move on to the action items, I would just like to mention something about the fobs that we all have. So we all have a fob, and they're for this building only, not for Mitchell School or Central School. And if we come here to pick up our packet or meet with the superintendent or whatever, so our fob lets us into any door. We still have to check in with the security guard just to let them know that we're in the building because it's a safety issue. So that's all that we have to do. And then we just, if you're going to see like a teacher or a meeting or whatever, we have to let the office know. And that's it. So I just want to mention that about the fobs. And at this time, I would take a motion to approve the school committee meeting minutes from March 28th, 2019.
So moved.
Moved by Teresa. It has to be Rob or Gordon because,
I wasn't there.
No, they weren't here. Actually, we can't do these.
oh, then I can,
Oh, wait a minute.
I can second them.
You can
Yeah.
second it,
Just
but
me and you.
only you and I can.
I think it's, since I just did the ethics training, it's vote of necessity.
Right, yeah.
So they have to abstain, and they're abstaining too, so I
It's just
second
you and
it.
me?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And at this time, I would take a motion to approve accounts payable warrant 42V dated April 10th, 2019.
So moved.
Moved by Teresa,
Second.
second by Gordon, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And I would take a motion to approve payroll warrant 41PS dated April 3rd, 2019.
So moved?
Second.
Moved by Gordon, second by Teresa, all in favor?
Aye.
And I would take a motion to approve the amended changes to the collaborative agreement as presented and proposed in consultation with the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education. And the superintendent can expand upon this, but at this, I would take a motion and then a second, and then the discussion.
Isn't that really?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Gordon, second by, moved by Teresa, second by Gordon. Discussion.
It was really, it's in your packets, and it's just really
It looks like
omitting
nothing.
text. It's just
Yeah.
language, nothing major. We belong to the collaborative, nothing's going to change. It was just some words that they wanted to be changed. So I just have to have Ellen sign after.
So it's
Thank you.
only this summarized on the first
Yep.
page. The rest is
This
just
is
the
it.
rest of the
Yep.
agreement, right?
Didn't a new town join the collaborative too?
Yeah, we have Holbrook just joined, North Road.
That was Avon.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And I would take a motion by, let's see, at the request of Principal Kate Byrne for the grade 1 students to be allowed to travel out of state to Biomes Marine Biology Center in North Kingston, Rhode Island for a field trip on June 3rd and June 4th. Superintendent recommends approval of Principal Byrne's request.
So moved.
Moved by Teresa, second by Tim. All in favor?
Aye.
And I would take a motion at the request of Principal Kate Byrne for grade 2 students to be allowed to travel out of state to the Roger Williams Zoo in Providence, Rhode Island for a field trip on May 31st, 2019.
So moved.
Superintendent recommends approval.
Sorry, Ellen.
Moved by Teresa. Second by Rob. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Procedural question.
Sure.
If I have a child that's in the grade where we're voting on something, am I allowed to vote on it? I don't have to.
Yes.
Okay. I'll make sure.
Like, I'm trying to think of an example. Like, okay, I'll just as an example. So if, say, we're voting on sports fees,
Yep.
I feel like I have to abstain because I have kids in sports. So that would be, but like, if,
Policy or for permission for something that's.
I
yeah,
voted on these items last year.
that would be fine.
Second grade, and that was.
Right, like you have no,
Oh, yeah.
your child gains no more benefit than any other child by that vote.
Okay.
I think, I mean, that's always my rule of thumb, if my child could potentially benefit from my vote, I don't vote.
Gotcha.
But if it's the whole class versus, that's my rule of thumb.
At this time, I would take a motion to adjourn.
Could I just, I'm sorry, just had two quick things. One is on the out-of-country field trips. Is it standard procedure that those teachers and maybe some students will come and give us a report when they come back, right?
Always.
Is that typical the case is?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, the
Okay.
last couple of years we have been.
And any feedback that you have, Liz, with regard to Election Day? I know I spoke with Sue when I voted. She said everything went smoothly. Is that your perspective
I
as
was
well?
here at 7:45, and they had already, we started the kids' runs at right about 8 o'clock, the little kids. We were out of the parking lot by 10 minutes of 10, and they were taking down the finish line, letting the air out of the finish line.
I was here too.
At 10 minutes to 10.
Honestly, the lacrosse, not that that was a problem either, but the lacrosse generated more cars at least, or eliminated more parking than the race did.
I was here at 10:30, 10:40, thereabouts, and I was the first person here. There was
Yeah.
nobody else in the parking lot.
It was when the lacrosse started that the parking lot got really busy and people were having to walk a little further, right? You were there too.
Yeah, but even so.
Oh yeah, that's right. I mean, it wasn't a problem at all. I'm just saying, like,
There was plenty of parking closest to the high school.
it wasn't the race at all. If anything, it was lacrosse, and I didn't see it.
So Holbrook, I don't know about any other districts, but I happen to know someone who works in Holbrook, and they had a ton of activities on Election Day this past Saturday. They had a ton of
They did
extracurricular.
That's new. They never used to.
Okay,
But I did, I stayed, I came early, and I stayed right to the end till they were getting out of the parking lot, and I came in actually to see the clerk to make sure that we were all set, to make sure that everyone was all right. She said it was fine, and Doug and I sort of talked, Doug Hortensi was here
Yep,
very early to get her going, and we talked for a minute, and there was no problems.
Yeah, I talked to
that
her
was great.
around-
Thank
When
you.
did I vote? About 11:30? Oh yeah, everything was fine at 11:30.
I might take a motion to adjourn this meeting.
So moved?
Moved by Gordon. Did you guys win? He said it too, so it was a tie, so I just picked one.
That works for me.
Second?
I'll
Anybody?
second.
Second by Teresa. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Have a good night, everyone.
Welcome
Everybody,
again.
happy